FSU wants to get out to a hot start. No Trey Benson, no Jordan Travis, no Johnny Wilson, no Keon Coleman. This team is rebuilding itself entirely. Your thoughts on Florida State's ability to win the ACC and actually get invited to the college football playoff this year?
I'm not high on Florida State this year. Look, I love Mike Norvell. What he did at Memphis, what he's been able to bring Florida State back to. We're not that far removed from Florida State being a perennial 6-6, 7-5 team. Fast forward to last season, Florida State should have been in the college football playoff. So I love Mike Norvell as a coach. I just look at everything that they have to replace this season, and I don't think very many coaches in college football, if any coach in college football, can adequately replace all of the holes that they have on this roster. You just named it. You're losing Jordan Travis, statistically one of the most effective and efficient quarterbacks at Florida State. You're losing your three leading receivers. You're losing three of your four top sackers in Braden Fisk. And I just feel like that's too much to overcome. And I understand that Florida State brings in DJ Uiagalelei through the transfer portal. DJU was unimpressive at Clemson. Last season at Oregon State, did he do anything that really made headlines? Did he do anything that really proved all of the doubters wrong? Did he rectify his first couple of seasons at Clemson? In my opinion, no, he didn't. So why am I supposed to believe that DJ Uiagalelei can now step into Florida State and figure things out? Why am I supposed to believe that this year for DJU is going to be anything different? I do think the couple of saving graces for Florida State, however, is going to be the front seven. They're going to be able to get to the quarterback. They're going to be able to create a pass rush because they at least have some continuity there on the defensive line. And it's their schedule. Like, they have a very manageable schedule, but I don't think that they're going to have enough time to figure things out offensively to be a playoff contender because their schedule's just not competitive enough to allow Florida State to lose, let's say, 2 games and still get into the playoff. I don't think 10-2 and not a conference champion is going to be enough for Florida State. It's just too many holes to fill to go from last year to this season and kind of recreate the magic that they found last season, the 13-1 heartbreaker.
Florida State opened as 13.5. They gave you 2 points back. Are you inclined to play with that a little bit? Or do you think week 0 teams finding their rhythm in their first full contact, full speed game and having to travel to the other side of the Atlantic freaking ocean to do it? Are you on a little bit of a holding pattern with this one?
Yeah, I'm in a holding pattern for sure. And I think maybe that's why you've seen the spread come down 2 points. Like you said, Florida State 13.5 down to 11.5 here. I think for anybody that has bet the other side, it's got to be because of the, you're getting your routine thrown off going to Ireland, going across the pond 6 hours ahead, not being at your dorm, even if this is a road game in Georgia Tech, you're still spending the week leading up in Florida. And now you're going to be spending basically most of the week in Ireland. And I think just the unknown of that, maybe that's probably my thinking as to why this spread has come back the other way a little bit. Funny, though, that the over-under remains a pretty decently high at 56.5, right? Because football, no matter what level it is, college, NFL, usually you'd think it would take a couple of weeks for the offense on either side to find their full rhythm. But, yeah, I don't know, 56.5 is decently high. I mean, I know Georgia Tech's defense isn't going to be anything to write home about this year. They haven't in years past. And like you said, Brent Key, they have gotten better. They have improved. That's why, again, for me, I think Reed Wallach said he loved the over yesterday. We had him on with us. I think if I'm going to bet a side on this, the only thing that I really could trust is Florida State's team total over, which, again, is going to be in the vicinity of 34 and a half points here. So, yeah, I'm still in a holding pattern for this game. We still have 9 days. Crazy to say that out loud. It's much more closer than we've ever been in 2024. But no, still got 9 days here to kind of toss around some options, toss around some ideas. So I'm in a holding pattern for sure.
Yeah, I don't think that's unfair. I think that, to me, what you're really betting on with that, especially with that total, that 56 number, if you're betting on that 56 number, I think you're betting on DJ Uiagalelei, to tell you the truth, right? Like, I think you're betting on DJ. I have laid out there that I genuinely don't have an opinion. Like I'm a weak, lame fence rider when it comes to DJ Uiagalelei because I think you can make an argument either direction. The argument that DJ Uiagalelei can step into this role and be good for Florida State for me is threefold. Number one, all the pressure in the world on him at Clemson, right? When he took over for Sunshine for Trevor Lawrence, Clemson was quarterback U at the time, and he was the heir to the throne of QBU. There was a ton of pressure on that kid. And when you've got guys like Big Dave, his dad, and Dabo flying him around in a plane and pointing down at Death Valley and saying, that's where you're going to be throwing all those touchdowns. My man came in there with like a massive head, right? Like a guardian cap on a helmet sized head. And it didn't go great out of the gate. And I don't think he was prepared to handle that. So then he goes to Oregon State playing for the Beefs. No expectations there. They just wanted to compete, right? Last year, the Pac-12, they just wanted to have a good time in the farewell party for the Pac-12. No pressure. And he was fine. Like, did he excel? Did he jump off the page? Did DJ Uiagalelei have everybody coming in this season and going, Heisman contender next year? No, absolutely not. Nobody's taking a Heisman flyer on DJ Uiagalelei, but he was fine. He was consistent. He was efficient. He was about as accurate as you could ask him to be. Well, now he comes down to Tallahassee. He's now played one season in a high-pressure environment, which he will be doing in Tallahassee, because don't think for a second the expectations in Florida State's program aren't win back-to-back ACC titles, right? So there's a bunch of pressure back on him, but he's also had a year break from that pressure, a year where it's not there. But the second thing, and the thing that is not, I don't think, talked about enough, is that Florida State, to me, runs a much more pro-style offense than Oregon State did, and frankly, than Clemson did when he was there. It's a much more pro-style offense, and I think he's even going to have a little bit better wide receiver weapons at Florida State than he did at Clemson or at Oregon State. Even losing Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson, the transfers in look pretty good so far in Tallahassee. So you combine that with Alex Atkins, the offensive coordinator, who runs a very pro-style set, Mike Norvell, who encourages a very pro-style set. I can absolutely see DJ Uiagalelei being the guy that can help Florida State go get 35 points in this game and just needing 14-21 out of Georgia Tech to get you to that over. But the problem is, Pat Boyle, I can see the other side too. I can see a DJ Uiagalelei that failed at Clemson, a DJ Uiagalelei that went to Oregon State, had better numbers, but let's not pretend that they were, game-changing numbers, and did it in, respectfully, not exactly a better Pac-12 than maybe some of us expected, but not exactly a dominant Pac-12 when it came to defense specifically, right? So I can see the argument against DJ Uiagalelei, and I don't have a side in it either way, which is why I'm with you. I'm 100% in a holding pattern because I just do not know what DJ Uiagalelei is going to be for this team this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm a little higher on him than you are, because I saw how it failed, pretty miserably at Clemson. This guy was going to be he was next in line after Trevor Lawrence graduates. DJU is going to be a number 1 overall pick, or he's going to be a top 10 overall pick. He's going to be a stud quarterback. And then the turnover issues, couldn't hold on to the football. Him and Dabo kind of definitely their relationship fractured at the end of his time in Clemson. I really like how he kind of, under the radar. No, not all the spotlight wasn't on him last year, playing games, mostly at midnight Eastern or 11 Eastern, where not a lot of people are watching. For an Oregon State team that was frisky, that kind of finished strong, and their coach, leaves to take the Michigan State coaching job, but they had a very balanced offense. They ran the ball. They had a great running game. But DJU, I think, kind of rediscovered himself, right? He limited the turnovers last year. He used his legs when needed, but I think he kind of sharpened some of the tools that he burst onto the scene with the big arm and the ability to run and run over guys at this level. And I think he kind of sharpened some of those finer things, those tools, the pocket presence, the ability to alter things at the line of scrimmage. And now he's coming back to Florida State, a team that will have the radar, will be on the radar, will have pressure, will have the spotlight on them. is expected to contend with Clemson for the ACC crown and probably should win the ACC crown. And I think he's ready. I think from everything I've heard DJU say, and again, it could be lip service, but from what I've heard him say and the things that I've read about him and kind of the last 24 months for him, which have been a whirlwind, which have been a roller coaster, I think he is now ready to take the spotlight again. His maturity, if nothing else, we know the skill set's there. The skill set has been there for 4 years. But is the maturity, is the decision-making going to be there? And I think you've got a great head coach in Mike Norvell. You've got, Malik Benson's going to be his top receiver. They don't have stud weapons all around, like you said last year. I mean, they lose Keon Coleman. They lose the multitude of weapons that they had last year. But they got a pretty good offensive line. And again, the ACC ain't that great, right? So it's not like it's not like we're saying, oh, DJU is going to the SEC or even the Big 12, and that's going to be a real tough test for him. It's going to the ACC, right? So, the defenses he's playing are not going to be high-caliber defenses. I think he and the Florida State Seminoles should win this conference, and if they do, they're going to the college football playoff. So I am a little bit higher on DJU and the Noles than you are, and Caroline Fenton as well, who we had on the show here 2 hours ago and said she doesn't think the Seminoles are going to make the college football playoff. I'm a little bit higher. I think they do. And I'm not backing DJU to lead the Noles to a national championship or even win the Heisman, but I think he's going to have a really solid last year. And we're looking at DJU and saying, man, this kid really kind of battled. He came out the other side a much better quarterback. And credit to him, kudos to him for the journey he went through, a much more circuitous and painful and adverse journey that a lot of college football quarterbacks go through.